Listen closely, because what I'm about to tell you will instantly change the way you see half the people in your life. Let me ask you a simple question. How many people have you rescued who wouldn't lift a finger for you? Think about it. You pull them up every time they crumble. You clean the disasters they create. You give up sleep, time, money, and your peace of mind, hoping they'll finally rise. But they don't rise. They don't evolve. They don't even appreciate you. Here's the harsh truth most people are too afraid to admit. You're not helping them, you're enabling them. You're feeding their weakness while draining your own strength. Machiavelli understood something that modern people refuse to face. Helping the wrong person is more dangerous than having an enemy. An enemy might challenge you, but the wrong person slowly empties your energy, your clarity, and your power, quietly, endlessly, shamelessly. Think back to the last time you tried to save someone drowning in their own chaos. Did they rise, or did they drag you deeper with them? You already know the answer. Here's the dark psychological twist. The more you save someone who refuses to save themselves, the more they begin to believe that your help is a debt you owe them. They stop respecting you. They stop hearing you. They stop valuing you. In their mind, if you keep rescuing them, it must mean you're supposed to. This is how good people lose their power. This is how strong people burn out. This is how kind people get used, drained, and betrayed. But today, that ends. Because in this video, you're going to learn the 7 types of people Machiavelli warns you must never help. Not because you're heartless, but because these people will poison your energy, your time, your reputation, and your future. And by the end, you'll know exactly who deserves your help and who deserves distance. Number 1, the chronically lazy. There's a type of person you must learn to recognize instantly if you want to protect your strength, the chronically lazy. Not the exhausted. Not the overwhelmed. Not the people genuinely carrying heavy burdens. I'm talking about those who have turned laziness into a permanent lifestyle. People who can work, but refuse. People who can take responsibility, but choose excuses every single time. People who wake up each day and make the same silent decision. Someone else will carry me. This is exactly the kind of person Machiavelli would warn you about, not because they're loud or aggressive, but because they quietly drain you. They seem harmless, but they slowly eat away at your time, your mental stability, and eventually your self-respect. Chronically lazy people have mastered one skill: avoiding effort with perfect precision. Ask them about their goals, they have endless dreams. Ask them what they're doing right now, suddenly the excuses appear. Their childhood was difficult. No one supported them. Luck didn't favor them. The world is unfair. Their excuses act like armor, protecting them from responsibility while trapping you in the role of their rescuer. But here's the real danger. They don't want to improve. They want to stay comfortable. And your effort becomes their comfort. You think you're giving support. They think you're doing their work. Machiavelli once said, "He who refuses to act does not deserve the rewards of action." If someone won't lift even a pebble in their own life, you should never break your back carrying their boulders. People who genuinely struggle show progress, slow, small, but real. The chronically lazy offer nothing but stories, promises, and never-ending complaints. You can expose them with one simple question. What are you doing right now to improve your situation? Not yesterday. Not tomorrow. Not soon. Right now. If they respond with silence, excuses, or another dramatic story, you're dealing with a professional victim, not a person in need. And here's the brutally honest truth. When you keep rescuing them, you steal the one thing they desperately need: hunger. Without hunger, there's no drive. Without discomfort, no change. Without consequences, no growth. When you protect them from every hardship, you rob them of the very pressure that could have made them stronger. And ironically, they will grow to resent you. Your discipline becomes a reminder of their weakness. Your effort becomes a mirror reflecting their laziness. Your success becomes a sting to their ego. Helping them isn't kindness. It's self-sacrifice with zero return. They won't rise. They won't transform. They won't suddenly become responsible. Because laziness isn't their situation, it's their identity. And if you carry them long enough, they will start believing they deserve to be carried. So step back. Let life weigh on them for once. Because the pressure you're shielding them from is the only teacher your help will never be. Number 2, the perpetually ungrateful. There is a kind of person who can drain even the strongest, most generous human being without raising their voice or causing a scene. They don't insult you. They don't fight you. They do something far more damaging. They never appreciate anything. These are the people who turn your kindness into routine, your sacrifice into obligation, and your generosity into a habit they feel entitled to. They don't recognize your effort. They don't acknowledge your intention. They don't value the time, energy, or emotional labor you give. Ungrateful people operate with one hidden belief. You owe me. You show up for them, they assume you always will. You go out of your way, they forget how difficult it was for you. You support them, they immediately expect more. The danger here isn't loud, it's subtle. Ungrateful people drain you not through need, but through entitlement. When someone truly appreciates you, their gratitude motivates you to keep giving. But when someone feels entitled, your help only fuels their arrogance. They don't remember what you did. They only notice what you didn't. Machiavelli said, "Men forget the good easily, but they remember the good they expected but never received." This is the mindset of the perpetually ungrateful. They erase every effort you've ever made and magnify the smallest moment you failed to meet their expectations. They don't see your help as a gift. They see it as the bare minimum you should be doing. And once a person believes your effort is their right, your value in their life disappears. Because in their mind, if your help comes easily, it must not be valuable. This is the psychology that destroys relationships, friendships, families, and even professional partnerships. Ungrateful people make you question your worth, not because you're not doing enough, but because they are incapable of recognizing what you already gave. They don't say thank you because they think they deserved more. They don't acknowledge your sacrifices because they believe it was your duty. They don't appreciate your effort because they expect it endlessly. And the saddest part? Ungrateful people increase their demands faster than you can increase your generosity. Give them a little, they want more. Give them a lot, they still want more. Give them everything, they complain about what's missing. You cannot win with them. You cannot satisfy them. You cannot build loyalty through kindness. Because to them, kindness is just another resource to consume without remorse. And when you finally step back, they won't reflect. They won't consider their own behavior. They won't admit their entitlement. Instead, they will play the victim. They will say, "You changed. They will accuse you of being cold or selfish. Helping the perpetually ungrateful is a losing game. You give strength, they return bitterness. You give support, they return entitlement. Let them go. You are not here to fill people who refuse to see your value. Number 3, the arrogant and self-righteous. There is a type of person who cannot be guided, corrected, or helped, not because they lack intelligence, but because they are convinced they already possess all the wisdom in the world. These are the arrogant and self-righteous, people who walk around wearing an invisible crown they never earned. They're not confident. They're not wise. They're not strong. They're simply obsessed with the sound of their own opinions. You can spot them immediately. They interrupt explanations they don't understand. They correct others without knowing the full story. They reject advice before it's fully spoken. And worst of all, they confuse stubbornness with intelligence. Trying to help them feels like speaking to a wall, except the wall argues back. These people aren't looking for growth. They're looking for validation. They don't want truth, they want echoes of their own beliefs. And if you even gently challenge their thinking, they don't examine their ideas, they attack you. This is why trying to help them always ends badly. Every piece of advice you offer threatens the thing they worship most: their ego. Machiavelli said, "Men judge more by appearances than by thought." The self-righteous are the perfect example. They are more focused on seeming wise than on actually making wise decisions. When you try to guide them, you're not battling ignorance, you're battling pride disguised as certainty. Arrogant people fear one thing more than failure: being proven wrong. They'll cling to a sinking ship if it means avoiding the embarrassment of admitting a mistake. They'll defend a terrible idea simply because it was their idea. They'll dismiss logic if that logic threatens their carefully inflated self-image. And here's where it becomes dangerous. If you help them and things work out, they take all the credit. If you help them and things go wrong, they blame you. There is no winning position with someone who lives above correction. They are allergic to humility. They see reflection as weakness. They see learning as defeat. And they see your guidance as an insult, not a favor. People like this don't grow until life hits them harder than any advice ever could. They need consequences powerful enough to crack their pride. They need silence deep enough to expose their limitations. They need the real world, not you, to humble them. Your job is not to break their ego. Your job is to stop wasting your strength on someone who blocks every door you open. When you step back, you protect your dignity. You reclaim your time. You save your emotional energy. And you allow life to teach them the lesson they refuse to learn from any human being. Because here's the truth. The arrogant cannot hear wisdom until their pride collapses, and you are not the one who should collapse it. Number 4, the habitually wicked. There are people who occasionally slip, who make poor choices, who lose their way for a moment. Those individuals deserve guidance, correction, sometimes even forgiveness. But then there is another category entirely, the habitually wicked. These are not people who made a one-time mistake. These are people who treat wrongdoing like a lifestyle. It's not an accident. It's not a phase. It's who they have chosen to be. The habitually wicked don't just break rules, they enjoy breaking them. They don't simply lie, they craft lies so polished they look like truth. They don't merely manipulate, they refine manipulation until it feels natural, almost effortless. You will see the pattern if you watch closely. Every relationship they touch ends in destruction. Every opportunity they receive becomes chaos. Every person who tries to help them eventually regrets it. Their talent isn't progress. It's damage. And what makes them truly dangerous is their appearance. They can seem charming, confident, charismatic, even vulnerable when it suits them. They know exactly how to mask their intentions. They can act innocent, gentle, misunderstood, responsible, whatever shade of personality gets them what they want. But underneath that performance lives the same core: self-interest without conscience. Machiavelli said, "A man who harms will continue to harm whenever it serves him." That perfectly describes the habitually wicked. If betraying you benefits them, they won't hesitate. If using your resources makes their life easier, they will take everything. If pulling you into their darkness shields them from consequences, they will do it instantly and without guilt. Helping them is not kindness, it is collaboration. Every bit of support you offer becomes fuel for their next destructive act. Every opportunity you open becomes a weapon they will use on someone else, sometimes even on you. And here's the part most people ignore until it's too late. When you help the wicked, you inherit their consequences. When they lie, your name gets attached. When they cheat, your reputation gets stained by association. When they fall, people assume you were part of it. Your reputation is currency. And the wicked bankrupt anyone standing too close. Worse, they feel no remorse, no reflection, no guilt. They don't apologize, they justify. They don't regret the hurt, they regret getting caught. They don't fix their behavior, they simply look for their next target and their next helper. You cannot heal someone who doesn't believe they're broken. You cannot guide someone who sees morality as optional. You cannot protect someone who thrives on chaos. The smartest response to the habitually wicked is not mercy. It is distance. Cold, clear, unapologetic distance. Cutting them off is not cruelty. It is self-defense. It is strategy. It is survival. Because when a person repeatedly chooses destruction, helping them doesn't make you good. It makes you part of their destruction. Number 5, the incurably foolish. There are some people you cannot save, no matter how much wisdom, guidance, or experience you pour into them. Not because they lack intelligence, but because they refuse to learn. These are not the uninformed, not the inexperienced, not the people who simply need direction. These are the incurably foolish, people who repeatedly make the same mistakes, no matter how painful or obvious the consequences are. A fool is not defined by low intelligence. A fool is defined by a stubborn refusal to grow. They have opportunities. They have resources. They have advice. They have countless chances to change course, but they ignore all of them. They ignore wisdom because they think they already know better. They cling to destructive habits because they're addicted to familiarity. They repeat mistakes because they're comfortable inside their own chaos. Every setback, every downfall, every failure offers a chance to learn. But the incurably foolish reject those lessons again and again. Machiavelli said, "Experience teaches everything, but only to those willing to learn." And the incurably foolish are unwilling students. They treat every disaster as someone else's fault. They blame circumstances. They blame luck. They blame people. Never once do they look inward. And your role in their life becomes deceptively dangerous. Every time you step in to fix their mess, you aren't rescuing them. You're resetting their cycle. You're reinforcing their belief that someone else will always absorb the consequences. You're not helping them grow. You're helping them avoid growth. Their pattern is predictable. You give advice. You offer wisdom. You give them a way out. They nod, pretend to agree, maybe even make promises. And then, the moment pressure fades, they repeat the exact same mistake. This is the cruel truth about dealing with fools. Your effort is never the problem. Your advice is never the problem. Your support is never the problem. They simply have no desire to learn. And here's the danger most people overlook. If you keep saving them, their chaos becomes your chaos. Their problems become your burden. Their repeated failures start draining your clarity, your patience, your peace. Machiavelli's wisdom is sharp here. He who constantly rescues the foolish binds himself to their misfortune. The incurably foolish will never appreciate your effort. They will never grow because of your help. They will never rise to the potential you imagined for them. The only real way to protect yourself, and to give them even a small chance of waking up, is to step back. Let them face the consequences. Let them feel the weight of their choices. Let reality teach them the lessons your kindness could never deliver. Stopping your rescue is not cruelty. It is discipline. It is intelligence. It is survival. Your energy is meant for people who want to evolve, not for those who repeat destruction and call it fate. Number 6, the master manipulator. Some people never ask for help directly. They don't say, "I need your time," or "I need your support." They don't ask, they engineer. These are the master manipulators, the architects of emotional influence. They pull strings you can't see. They craft situations you can't name. They guide your reactions without ever revealing their intentions. They don't communicate, they orchestrate. A master manipulator studies you with the precision of a strategist. They learn your weaknesses, your values, your fears, your desire to be helpful. And they use that knowledge like a weapon wrapped in kindness. Sometimes they appear helpless, fragile, and overwhelmed. Sometimes they act misunderstood, tough, or unfairly judged. Sometimes they switch between these roles in a single conversation just to see which version makes you soften. Machiavelli said, "Men are moved by fear and desire. To control them, one must understand both." Manipulators know this instinctively. They know you don't like hurting people. They know you avoid conflict. They know you don't want to appear cold or unkind. So they shape every word, every sigh, every silence to trigger guilt, pity, or obligation. Every favor you give becomes leverage. Every compromise becomes proof you will bend again. Every hour of attention becomes a debt they never intend to repay. They don't appreciate your help, they extract it. They don't respect your boundaries, they test them. And when you finally pull away, they twist the story until you become the villain. Suddenly, your strength is selfishness. Your boundaries are attacks. Your refusal to be controlled becomes betrayal. The danger of a manipulator is not their words. It's their invisibility. They don't shout. They don't threaten. They don't attack openly. They work quietly, weaving narratives that slowly trap you in emotional debt. Here is the brutal truth you must accept. You cannot save a manipulator. You cannot reason with them. You cannot teach them empathy or loyalty. Because manipulation isn't a mistake, it's their strategy. Your only real power is this. Cut the supply. Stop giving them your attention. Stop reacting to their emotional bait. Stop explaining, defending, or trying to justify your boundaries. When you no longer feed their need for control, they have nothing to hook into. They simply move on to their next target. Someone else to drain, someone else to mold, someone else to deceive. This is why Machiavelli's wisdom applies perfectly. A wise ruler never empowers those who will use that power to destroy him. Master manipulators will never respect your kindness. They will never honor your effort. They will never change because someone asks them to. Your responsibility is not to reform them. It is to protect yourself. Pull back calmly. Withdraw your energy. Detach without guilt. Your life is not their stage. Your emotions are not their tools. Your strength is not theirs to exploit. Number 7, the unrepentant rebel. There are people who make mistakes because they're confused, overwhelmed, or unaware. And then there are people who know exactly what they're doing and still choose the wrong path every single time. These are the unrepentant rebels. Not lost souls. Not misunderstood wanderers. Not the unaware. These are individuals who deliberately challenge every limit, defy every standard, and break every rule, not out of ignorance, but out of pride. They know what is right and still choose wrong. They know the consequences and still take reckless risks. They see the line and their instinct is to cross it, boldly, proudly, intentionally. You can advise them. You can guide them. You can pull them away from disaster again and again. And they will smile, nod, pretend to listen. Then walk right back into the same chaos. The unrepentant rebel does not change because someone cares enough to intervene. They change only when their own chaos becomes unbearable. And that moment never arrives because of your effort. It arrives because of their exhaustion. Machiavelli said, "A wise ruler must know when to act and when to let events teach the lesson." This rule applies perfectly here. Your guidance cannot force maturity. Your sacrifice cannot force responsibility. Your support cannot force discipline. The more you fight for them, the less they fight for themselves. The unrepentant rebel thrives on resistance. They feed off the attention, the arguments, the drama, the emotional energy people waste trying to correct them. It fuels them. It excites them. It validates their defiance. They love being the storm everyone tries to calm. They love watching people scramble to fix the damage they cause. They love feeling untouchable while others carry the consequences. Here is the brutal truth. You cannot fix someone who takes pride in the very behavior that destroys them. Your effort becomes their excuse. Your patience becomes their fuel. Your help becomes the permission they need to continue their rebellion. The smartest thing you can do is step back. Not out of anger. Not out of resentment. But out of wisdom. Do not confuse endurance with strength. Do not confuse intervention with love. Do not confuse sacrifice with progress. Let reality, not your compassion, teach them the lessons they refuse to learn. Let consequences speak. Let discomfort guide. Let their own pattern break them, not your continued support. This is not cruelty. This is strategy. This is self-preservation. The unrepentant rebel is a storm. You cannot stop the storm. You cannot change the storm. but you can choose not to stand in its path. Take shelter. Protect your peace. Stand firm in your boundaries. Let them face the weather they created. Because when the storm is finally over, you will still be standing. And they will still be in the ruins they built. Now that you understand the 7 kinds of people Machiavelli warns you to avoid rescuing, it's time for a hard reality check. You must ask yourself, are you supporting people who want to rise, or are you wasting your strength on those who will never respect it? Here's the truth most people ignore. Compassion without direction doesn't build you, it drains you. Every hour, every dollar, every emotional effort you give to the wrong person is stolen from your own future. But choosing wisely isn't cold, it's discipline. It's strategy. It's how you ensure your power goes to those who can actually use it. Step 1. Know who's trying versus who's choosing failure. Someone who's genuinely fighting to improve, even if they're slow, messy, or struggling, deserves support. But a person who chooses laziness, manipulation, arrogance, or rebellion has made a decision. And it's not your duty to undo what they chose for themselves. Step 2. Redefine what it means to care. Real care isn't always rescuing someone from consequences. Sometimes, true compassion is refusing to interrupt their lesson. Some people don't need saving, they need to feel the cost of their own actions. Help should build responsibility, not remove it. Step 3. Guard your resources like a ruler. Your time. Your focus. Your emotional energy. Your resources are not endless. They are your wealth, your leverage. Wise people don't throw their power where nothing can grow. Helping those who refuse to change is like watering concrete. While you waste effort, your own garden dries up. Step 4. Say no with confidence. Withdraw without guilt, distance without arguing, refuse without explanation. The moment you stop being an accomplice, the chaos no longer touches you. When you step aside, life becomes their teacher, and life is far sharper than you will ever be. Step 5. Invest where growth multiplies. Pay attention to the people who take responsibility, who are hungry to learn, who correct themselves even when nobody is watching. These are the ones who deserve help, who honor support, who eventually give back more than they take. Helping the right people builds loyalty, strength, and influence that expands. So ask yourself, who am I protecting instead of letting them face reality? Who am I constantly fixing? Who would finally learn if I stopped interfering? Who needs boundaries, not assistance? Machiavelli would remind us. Kindness without judgment destroys the person giving it. Your wisdom, your strength, your empathy, they are not toys for the careless. They are strategic tools. Use them with intention. Before you leave, type this affirmation in the comments. I help growth, not destruction. If this message opened your eyes, share it with someone who gives too much and receives nothing back. Like the video if it brought clarity. Subscribe for more Machiavellian insights into human nature, power, and psychological strategy. Remember, helping the wrong person is the fastest path to exhaustion. Helping the right person is the fastest path to respect, influence, and unstoppable power.